Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. I hope everyone is doing fine. The virtual presser po will start in a while, so perhaps you can grab a cup of coffee or stretch po muna, no? We will be starting in a while. Thank you.
The Philippines has a great dependence on knowledge and information and has an increasing need for ready access to all of this by the business and public sectors. But for decades, the lack of a computerized system to carry out processes has resulted to inefficiency, inaccuracy, longer turnaround time, duplication of work, incompatibility, data loss, poor information dissemination, and poor public service. The Department of Science and Technology has been tirelessly working on effective innovations to address these problems. The DOST has 8 commitment areas for the Philippines to help push key industries, one of which is information and communication technology-based transformation of governance, broadening access to government services, health and education for those in the countryside. The Food and Nutrition Research Institute, Department of Science and Technology, is the trusted source of food, nutrition, and health information in the Philippines. Together with DOST, it aims to fight malnutrition through accurate data, correct information, and innovative technologies. FNRI DOST has acknowledged the role of ICT as an important tool in disseminating quality and timely food and nutrition information and technology to its clients. ICT is embedded in the 8 commitment areas set by the DOST to help push key industries. ICT-enabled systems combined with the Institute's efforts will provide more solutions to the persistent malnutrition problems and result in better lives for the Filipino people. IFNRI is an umbrella program that develops, integrates, and harmonizes the different ICT projects of the Institute. With IFNRI, multiple virtual connectivity is possible. IFNRI has the 6 program components: ISS, iServe, iBusiness, iPromote, iLearn, and iAdmin. iAssess is a component of the IFNRI to create, administer, and provide thorough analysis of anthropometric tests, recipe and menu evaluation on the internet and intranet. iServe envisions to make laboratory processes more automated for an efficient and effective workflow. iBusiness hopes to enable the Institute to link its internal and external data processing systems more efficiently and flexibly to work more closely with suppliers and partners. iPromote will deliver promotional marketing messages and products to the various clients of the Institute. iLearn will help various clients of the Institute with or without nutrition background by offering numerous types of media to teachers, students, and nutrition advocates. iAdmin aims to create a paperless office to improve productivity, performance, and total transparency. Features of IFNRI: user-friendly layout, easy to understand content, enhanced photos and interactive features. With IFNRI, the hope to provide optimum nutrition for the Filipino people is possible. We are all out to bring food and nutrition at your fingertips. To learn more about this program, visit www.i.fnri.dost.gov.ph.
Yes. Masarap.
Hi there! Are you aware that there is an updated version of the food exchange list in the Philippines? The food exchange list, or FEL, was first introduced by a group of experts in the United States in 1950 for appropriate planning of meals for persons with diabetes. The FEL was later adopted by other countries around the world, including the Philippines. In 1953, the Philippine FEL, partnered after the US FEL, was published. This was updated in 1966 using the 1964 Food Composition Tables, or FCTs. With the growing demand to expand the content and use of the FEL, the sugar exchange list was added and calculations were updated using the 1980 FCT in 1994. In 2017, the most awaited revision of the FEL was spearheaded by a group of researchers from DOST-FNRI in collaboration with practicing nutrition professionals and well-known nutrition experts in the country. It started with thorough needs assessment among FEL users, conduct of market survey for novel and emerging food products, and identification of commonly used food items via nationwide food consumption survey data, followed by portion size computation based on predetermined energy and macronutrient values, portion size weighing and measurement of each food item. Pre-production of the prototype book was done with assistance from creative directors. Finally, consultation with expert nutritionists, dietitians, and review by selected users took place prior to presentation to the health community. Fourth edition food exchange list for meal planning. Now, let us take a look at the updated macronutrient composition of the 7 food exchange lists. Vegetable exchange list contains 3 grams of carbohydrate and 1 gram protein, providing a total of about 16 calories per exchange. Only vegetables with energy values of 16 calories per exchange were included in the vegetable exchange list. The rest were placed in separate lists, except for vegetable garnishes like coriander, which are commonly not consumed in large amounts. The fruit exchange list contains 10 grams of carbohydrates and 40 calories per exchange. The milk exchange list is still classified into 3 subgroups: whole milk, low-fat milk, and non-fat or skimmed milk. One of the major changes was the regrouping of the rice exchange list into 3 subgroups: rice A, B, C, to properly account the protein values. Rice A, B, and C contains 0, 2, and 4 grams of protein respectively. The classification of the meat exchange list is retained along with the corresponding protein, fat, and energy composition. The same holds true with the fat exchange list. Thus, an exchange of fat contains 5 grams of fat and 45 calories. And the sugar exchange list still contains 5 grams of sugar and 20 calories per exchange. Other commonly consumed and new food and beverage items that cannot be listed in the 7 food exchange list are found in the other food lists found in the appendices. In the updated FEL,
Isang ligtas at makaagham na umaga po sa ating lahat. Paumanhin po sa pagkantala ng ating virtual presser. Pero good morning to our distinguished guests, dear DOST officials, our dear friends from the media, and welcome to the virtual presser of the Department of Science and Technology. Ako po, si Jay Cusnasis from the DOST-Food and Nutrition Research Institute, and I will be your moderator this morning. Thank you for joining us. This morning, we will tackle the results of the second leg of the virgin coconut oil trial conducted in Valenzuela City. This study was initiated to gather more evidence on how effective VCO is in relieving the clinical manifestations of COVID-19. More into it as we progress in our virtual presser this morning. We are also beamed live via the DOST FNRI YouTube channel. Shout out po sa lahat ng ating mga kasama na nakaantabay sa atin dyan sa ating YouTube channel. I know you will agree with me if I say that the best way to start our virtual presser this morning is through a prayer. and the singing of the Philippine National Anthem. So may I request everyone to join me and bow down our heads in the presence of our dear Lord as we witness this invocation.
Sa iyong biyaya, ako ay namamangha sa iyong kalinga. Panganib at di banta sa pag-ibig mo, palaging ligtas ang puso. Namusapang tungkul'y nakikinig sa ingay man, gulong mo'y tatangi pagkasigaw, sa iyo puso ko'y tatapang. Sindigan ang puso ko ay nahanap sa iyo, Kristo, pangalan mo, tanungan ko'y sindigan ang puso ko ay nahanap sa iyo, Kristo, pangalan mo, tanungan ko, kailan pa man. Kailan pa
Kailanman ilalayo, ikaw ang kaligtasan ko. Pinabalot ng iyong lakas, sa piling mo ako'y iligtas. Kailanman ilalayo, ikaw ang kaligtasan ko. Pinabalot ng iyong lakas, sa piling mo ako'y iligtas. Kailanman ilalayo, ikaw ang kaligtasan ko. Pinabalot ng iyong lakas, sa piling mo ako'y ligtas. Sandigan ang puso ko ay nahanap sa iyo, Kristo, pangalan mo, tanungan ko, sandigan ang puso ko ay nahanap sa iyo, Kristo, pangalan mo, tanungan ko,
kailan pa man.
tayong mag-ibig. Landas ng silanganan, palay ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyang ka ng maditing, sa manlulupit, di ka pasisingil, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mo'y mahal. May dilag ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na naglililim. Ang bituin at araw na kailan pa may di madidilim. Yung panag-araw ng walhati at silang ay langit sa piling mo. Ang nilaga na pagmay natin, ang mamatay ng dawin sa'yo.
Muli, isang magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. We sincerely thank you all for joining us today. Now, please join me in welcoming Dr. Imelda Angeles Agdepa, Director 4 and Scientist 2 of DOST-FNRI for her welcome message. Dr. Agdepa is also the project leader of this VCO study. Will introduce our presenter, DOST Secretary Fortunato T. De La Peña, after her message. Over to you, Dr. Agdepa. Magandang umaga po.
Magandang umaga, Jacobs. Thank you for that. Yes, Cabinet Secretary Carlo Alexis Nograles and our acting presidential spokesperson, all our OCS, or Office of the Cabinet Secretary officials, to our DOST family, led by our very own able Secretary Fortunato T. De La Peña, our Undersecretary for Research and Development, Dr. Rowena Cristina L. Guevara, DOST Undersecretary for Scientific and Technical Services, Renato U. Solidum Jr., our Undersecretary for Regional Operations, Engineer Sancho A. Mabora, DOST Philippine Council for Health Research and Development Executive Director, Dr. Jaime Montoya, DOST National Capital Region Director, Director Jose Patalionhog III and his staff, and all other officials of our DOST, as our assistant secretaries, as well as all our regional directors who are present today. Joining us also in this forum are DETI or Department of Industry, USEC, and Chief of Staff, Mr. Irenio Vismonte, Philippine Council Administration Administrator, Mr. Benjamin R. Madrigal Jr., Department of Health Services, Dr. Rufino Francisco III, and Dr. Laura Del Callao, Department of Trade and Industry, Secretary Ramon Lopez, DTI Regional Operations USEC Secretary USEC Blisila Lantayona, and of course, Officer in charge of the Director General of FDA, Deputy Director General for Field Regulations of Regulatory Officer, Dr. Oscar Gutierrez Jr., our co-author and co-investigator, Professor Dr. Fabian Dairit of Ateneo de Manila, our Valenzuela City Mayor, Honorable Rexlon Gatchalian, Valenzuela City Health Officer, Dr. Jaime Exconde Jr., and our partner in this study, Dr. Mark Matias, the Chief of the Emergency Hospital of Valenzuela. Representatives from the Philippine Institute of Traditional and Alternative Medicine, the President of VCO Producers and Traders of the Philippines, led by Engineer Marco Reyes, and of course, other VCO producers and traders present here today. Our previous directors, Dr. Corazon Barba and Dr. Mario Capansana. Thank you for attending. And current Deputy Director, Dr. Calibo, and all other members of our Management Committee and FNRI staff. not the least, and not the last, our valued friends from the media, our Facebook and YouTube viewers, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant morning to all of you. Now, we are very proud and excited for today's presentation titled Effects of VCO Among Mild and Moderate Cases of COVID-19 in Santa Rosa, in Valenzuela City. This study is actually a sequel of our Santa Rosa study in 2020. It is well documented in several scientific studies that the VCO has been reported to have antiviral activities against several viruses. These previous studies that revealed VCO of its antiviral properties, the DOST-FNRI research team was motivated and had developed and implemented the first study in Santa Rosa during the peak of the COVID-19 in May. With the undisputed power of adequate nutrition and healthy diet in fighting infections and illnesses, DOST-FNRI conducted 2 studies investigating the effects of coconut oil as an adjunct therapy of COVID-19 patients. The first study, as I have said, was conducted in Santa Rosa, Laguna under the leadership of Mayor Arlene Arcillas and her city health physician and staff. Also joining us in this study was actually the Calabar Zone DOST retired regional director, Alexander Madrigal. The results of this first study was disseminated last December 29, 2020. After a year, here we are again presenting to you, my dear friends, our results of a similar study conducted in Valenzuela City under the leadership of our very own Mayor, Rex Gatchalian, and the Chief of the Emergency Hospital, and also the Administrator, Dr. Mark Marchas, and very supported and enthusiastic DOST National Capital Region, Dr. Joe Patalinho. These studies is actually one of the Institute's responses in the plight of DOST in fighting solutions to reduce the magnitude of COVID-19 cases, thereby alleviating the impact of the virus on individuals and health, emotional, mental, and financial drain. The Institute commits to continuously explore and discover innovative, significant solutions to our health and malnutrition problems afflicting our countrymen. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, join me in welcoming our very own secretary on this virtual stage, our very own hardworking, well-experienced, and multi-awarded DOST Secretary Honorable Fortunato T. de la Peña to present the results of our VCO study in Valenzuela City. Sir, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Magandang umaga sa ating lahat. Dalangin ko na sana ay nasa mabuting kalagayan ang bawat isa sa kabila ng ating pinagdaraan ng maramihan na namang transmission. Ang virtual presser na ito sa ikalawang VCO study na ginawa ng DOST-Food and Nutrition Research Institute ay hangad na makatulong dito sa ating dinaranas. So, the VCO in the fight against COVID-19. So, next slide, please. The DOST-FNRI study on the effects of VCO, okay, among mild and moderate COVID-19 cases in selected Metro Manila area okay, confirms the study that, or the results of the study that were obtained from the first study that was held in Santa Rosa, Laguna. In this second study, which was held in Valenzuela City, the direct intake of VCO, okay, in contrast to the mixing of VCO in the meals of the participants, so the direct intake promoted faster recovery of COVID-19 patients who have mild and moderate symptoms. Next slide, please. Like in Santa Rosa, Laguna, VCO was again confirmed to significantly lower the C-reactive protein, or CRP, which is a biomarker for inflammation and infection. The CRP values higher than 5 milligrams per liter indicate presence of infection or inflammation. In the Santa Rosa, next slide please. In the Santa Rosa Laguna VCO study, okay, in December 2020, the VCO was mixed with nutritious meals, especially prepared for suspect and probable COVID-19 patients. So these were the people who went to the quarantine center in Santa Rosa when they experienced symptoms. Okay, but actually not all of them turned out to be RT-PCR positive. But just the same, when they were already enrolled as participants, they were made part of the two groups where you have the control group and you have the VCO group. So here, the experimental group who consumed meals with VCO exhibited faster relief from COVID-19 symptoms and quicker normalization of the C-reactive protein level, okay, than the control group. So yun po ang findings doon pa lang sa Santa Rosa. Next slide, please. Meanwhile, in the VCO Valenzuela study, okay, which was undertaken in 2021, okay, the second half of the year, VCO was given separately in medicine cups along with specially prepared meals. So hindi po magkahalo. Yun ang kaibahan sa Santa Rosa at sa Valenzuela. At siguro as a backgrounder kung paano naman kami na papunta sa Valenzuela, yung po mga cabinet members may naka-assign sa amin ng mga cities to assist. Okay? Ako po ay naka-assign sa Valenzuela City. At sa aming mga pag-uusap ay marami kami nagawang plano ni Mayor Rex Gatchalian. At isa na nga dito yung pagpo-conduct ng separate study sa Valenzuela City. But this time, it included both mild and moderate cases. Okay? So the VCO given in Valenzuela City was 0.6 milliliters per kilogram of body weight for the first 3 days to let the gut adjust and then increase to 1.2 ml per kilogram of body weight from day 4 to 28, which was the same dose given to the Santa Rosa Laguna experimental group. Let us remember that the administration of the VCO was for 28 days. So kahit po sila ay nakauwi na in the case of the Santa Rosa study, they were still sent the meals which had the VCO mix in them. Ang kaibahan lang po doon sa Santa Rosa, it was a blinded study. Hindi nila alam kung sila ay nasa VCO group o control group. Maliban na lang siguro kung nalalasahan nila ng matindi. Pero sa Valenzuela po, alam nila kung sila ay VCO group or control group. So there were 77 participants who completed the Valenzuela City study. 39 of them belong to the VCO group and 38 belong to the control group. So the VCO group, may meal sila at saka meron silang cup ng VCO, yung sa control group, meals lamang. Okay? The selection criteria for study participants were actually similar to the selection criteria in the Santa Rosa Laguna study. Except that yun nga nabanggit ko kanina, sa Valenzuela, yun lamang mga RT-PCR positive ang naging participant. Samantalang sa Santa Rosa, since they came in na may symptoms, hindi pa alam kung positive sila o hindi, ay magkahalo, merong positive at merong hindi. Okay? Pero in general, sila yung mga mild cases. So in the Santa Rosa Laguna study, patients with COVID-19 symptoms were included while the RT-PCR testing was done later. Okay? Other inclusion criteria for the Valenzuela study were, first, they should be 20 years old and above. They must be admitted to the health facilities in Valenzuela in the past 3 days only before the start of data collection. So hindi na pwede yung mga matagal nang nandoon sa health facility. Kailangan kung meron mang hypertension, ito ay controlled at pwede pa rin kahit na may slight SGOT and SGPT. Ito yung lumalabas sa ating mga blood chemistry na may kinalaman yata ito sa liver. But basically, ito po ay due to antibiotics. Excluded, okay, from the same study. Ito naman po yung exclusion criteria. Hindi po kasama ang buntis. Okay? Excluded ang pregnant, excluded ang may heart disease, those that are taking statins and other medicine for heart disease, and those with elevated blood lipid levels, as well as those with elevated fasting blood sugar levels. And, okay, hindi na po pwede yung mga vaccinated na ng COVID-19. Yun po ang mga exclusion criteria sa Valenzuela. Now, magpunta naman po tayo kung ano yung mga signs and symptoms. COVID-19 signs and symptoms like cough, breathing difficulty, and fever, among others, as well as dietary assessment in terms of nutrient content, weight of food waste, and 24-hour food recall were monitored daily. So, hindi lamang yung mga symptoms, kundi yung mga dietary assessment. Okay? At saka yung kung gaano karami ang food waste nila. And their 24-hour food recall ay minonitor daily. Now, ano naman yung CRP, lipid profile, etc. Ito po, itong CRP, nabanggit ko na kanina, ang C-reactive protein, which is an indicator or a marker of inflammation and infection, was monitored. Also the lipid profile, the fasting blood sugar, the liver enzyme SGPT and SGOT, and complete blood count were analyzed at baseline before taking the VCO. Okay? As well as at day 14, which is midline, and at day 28 as endline. So tatlong beses po itong inanalyze. Similar to the Santa Rosa study. Okay? Now, all participants had undergone PCR testing during the baseline, midline, and endline for infection status. Okay? Ito po ang ginawa. Okay? Na pagtingin sa kanila kung sila ba ay positive pa o negative. So what are the unique features of each of these two studies? So hindi natin pwedeng hindi natin pwedeng tawag dito, iwasan yung comparison, kasi magkapareho itong study nito in many ways. The Santa Rosa study, as I said, mixed the VCO in the meals, while in the Valenzuela it was given in medicine cups. The Valenzuela study had a more accurate measure of VCO intake, while in Santa Rosa, it was a randomized double-blind trial. Both the research team and the participants don't know which group do they belong. Now, the Valenzuela study is a randomized single-blind study where the participants and the hospital staff know that they are taking the VCO, but the research team and the statistician don't know the grouping. So ang nakakaalam po ay yung participant at yung hospital staff. Pero yung research team at yung statistician hindi alam kung sino ang nasa ang grupo. The Santa Rosa study did not provide supportive medicine. So puro VCO lang at meals. Pero sa Valenzuela study, well, considering na ito ay confirmed ng RT-PCR lahat at meron pa rin nga nakahalong moderate, ang Santa Rosa study did not provide supportive medicine while the Valenzuela study gave antibiotics and other medicine to both study groups. However, the COVID-19 variants in both studies may be different. Okay, as the Santa Rosa study was in 2020 when the Wuhan variant was dominant, while the Valenzuela study was in 2021 when the Delta variant was prevalent. Now, for the other highlights of the results on the resolution of COVID-19 signs and symptoms, for the Valenzuela VCO or control group, at day 2, 7 out of the 39 patients or 18% showed decreasing COVID-19 symptoms. At day 14, kasi sabi nga natin, minamonitor yan. At day 14, all patients had total resolution of signs and symptoms. So day 14, wala ng signs and symptoms. For the Santa Rosa VCO or control group, at day 2, 5 of the 29 patients, okay, or 7% had decreasing COVID-19 symptoms. So from 18% dun sa Valenzuela, in comparison, 7% dun sa Santa Rosa ang nagkaroon na ng decreasing COVID-19 symptoms. At day 18, okay, ay lahat ng pasyente ay wala ng signs and symptoms. Doon sa Santa Rosa, sa Valenzuela, day 14 pa lang, all patients had no signs and symptoms. Magkasama, mild and moderate, wala ng symptoms at day 14 sa Valenzuela. Day 18, nawala for all patients doon sa Santa Rosa. Meanwhile, for the Valenzuela control group or the non-VCO group, okay, remember, doon sa Valenzuela at day 2 ay 18% na doon sa VCO group ang nagpakita ng resolution of signs and symptoms. Okay? Decreasing na. Dito doon sa non-VCO group, noong day 2, 4 lang or 10.5% of the 38 participants experienced relief from signs and symptoms. So, yung nag-take ng VCO, 18% sa kanila, nagkaroon na ng relief from signs and symptoms sa day 2. Okay? Dun sa hindi nag-VCO, at day 2, 10.5% lang ang nagpakita ng relief from signs and symptoms. Okay? Remember, halos magkapareho ang kanilang bilang, 39 and 38. At day 26, okay, ito po ay para sa Valenzuela, all patients had no signs and symptoms. For Santa Rosa, control or non-VCO, day 2, okay, kino-compare natin, at day 2, 1 or 4% pa lang po ng 28 patients had decreased signs and symptoms. At day 23, okay, all patients had no more signs and symptoms. Remember, kanina, nasabi ko, dun sa Valenzuela, at day 14, okay, wala nang signs and symptoms dun sa mga pasyente. No? At dun sa sa VCO group, dun sa control group naman, at in the Valenzuela, at day 14, lahat pala sila ay wala ng signs and symptoms. Doon sa Santa Rosa, day 18, wala ng signs and symptoms. Okay? Day 18 pala sa Santa Rosa, yung sa VCO group lamang, no? Okay? Now, for the C-reactive protein or CRP levels, sa Valenzuela VCO group, the CRP levels normalized at day 14 and continued decreasing until day 28. Sa Santa Rosa po, the CRP levels normalized at day 14 also, and decreased continuously until day 28. So pareho naman sila. CRP levels in the Valenzuela control group only normalized at day 28. Doon sa mga hindi nag-VCO, doon sa day 28 pa sila nag-normalize. At sa Santa Rosa, yung control group din ay above the cut-off point pa siya up to day 28. Okay? Doon sa control group. The following summarizes the results of the two studies. Okay? As a conclusion, VCO can be an effective adjunct therapy in managing COVID-19 and symptoms, whether mixed in nutrition meals or taken separately. Both VCO trials by DOST-FNRI confirmed that VCO hastens the resolution of COVID-19 signs and symptoms. And the VCO used in these studies are compliant to the Philippine National Standards or the PNS. These were analyzed by the Laboratory Services Division of the Philippine Coconut Authority na siya din pong nag-suggest kung alin ang magpo-provide ng VCO from among their accredited producers. These studies are one of the DOST-FNRI's collaborative contributions on R&D aimed at providing science-based practical solutions to helping address and manage COVID-19 and its impacts on nutrition, health, livelihood, the economy, and overall well-being. Results of these studies can help boost the VCO industry and uplift the livelihood of coconut farmers and related enterprises. Our urgent message is for stakeholders and our media partners to use the results of this study and help disseminate the findings among their constituents and the general public. I would like to give credit to our partners. The DOST-FNRI VCO Valenzuela study is in partnership with DOST National Capital Region, headed by Director Jose Patalinghug III. Okay. Of course, the Philippine Council for Health Research and Development, PCHRD, under Dr. Jaime Montoya, the Philippine Coconut Authority, okay, under the Executive Director, Director Madrigal, and we were also assisted by Ateneo de Manila University and the LGU of Valenzuela City. Napakalaki po ng tulong na ginawa ng LGU ng Valenzuela. So, salamat kay Mayor Rex at sa kanya pang mga kasama. That will be all po. Thank you for your attention, and the panel of experts will be ready to entertain questions during the Q&A portion. Marami pong salamat.
Maraming salamat po, Sec Boy. Thank you for walking us through the details and results of the VCO study. So alam ko po ng ating mga kaibigan sa media and our guests this morning are excited to know more at mahimay yung detalye ng resulta ng ating trial. But before we proceed with the discussion where our invited panelists will be answering your queries, allow me to usher an important message to appreciate the value and strengthen the advocacy to continuously mitigate and address the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Please welcome the Honorable Cabinet Secretary and also Acting Presidential Spokesperson, the Honorable Carlo Alexi B. Nograles, for his message of support.
DOST Secretary Fortunato Boy Del Peña, FDA OIC Dr. Oscar Gutierrez Jr., DOST Undersecretary Dr. Rowena Cristina Guevara, PCHRD Executive Director Dr. Jaime Montoya, DOST NCR Regional Director Jose Patalinghug III, FNRI Director Dr. Imelda Agdepa, PCA Administrator Benjamin Madrigal Jr., Ateneo de Manila University Dr. Fabian Antonio Dairit, Valenzuela City Mayor Rex Gatchalian, VCO Association of the Philippines President Engineer Marco Reyes, VCO Philippines Executive Director Agnes Cristobal, our friends in the media, and to everyone here today at this virtual presser on the effects of virgin coconut oil among mild and moderate COVID-19 cases in selected Metro Manila areas mayong buntag. I'm very pleased that another study, this time conducted in Valenzuela City, after the study conducted in Santa Rosa, Laguna, has found that, and I quote, VCO is effective as an adjunct therapy against COVID-19 regardless of the modality of administration, and confirmed that VCO promotes faster resolution of symptoms and resolution of infection or inflammation, whether VCO is mixed with meals or consumed using a sterile medicine cup. End of quote. Virgin coconut oil has long been considered a miracle medicine for its numerous benefits and healing properties. Now, VCO is once again showing positive results to help avoid further transmission of the virus and as a viable and affordable treatment against COVID-19. With the rising number of COVID cases, we welcome these latest results, and which may prove beneficial as a complement as more and more Filipinos also are being vaccinated. As of 17 January, we have 55,583,592 fully vaccinated kababayans. This is already 61.76% of our target, our new target, to vaccinate 90 million Filipinos. With VCO, the risk of having more serious cases can be further addressed, since VCO provides a safe, effective, and affordable food supplement to combat COVID-19. These two studies, the Santa Rosa and the Valenzuela studies, show that it can effectively kill COVID-19, especially during the early symptom stage, and that it can help alleviate symptoms in mild cases and suspected or probable COVID patients. It is also very easy to administer, as it may be taken with meals or taken directly as a supplement to further protect against COVID-19. So thank you to DOST National Capital Region, Philippine Council for Health Research and Development, Philippine Coconut Authority, and the Ateneo de Manila University in partnership with the local government unit of Valenzuela for making this study possible. Magandang balita na naman po ito ng DOST sa gitna nitong ating kasalukuyang hamon na hinaharap. Maraming salamat at hindi kayo tumitigil sa pagtutuklas ng mga napapanahon at mga epektibong mga hakbang upang makatulong dito sa ating mas mabilis, mas efficient, mas pinaigting na pagtugon sa mga epekto dulot ng virus. The World Health Organization, or WHO, in its latest virtual presser said that, and I quote, "The virus is well on its way to becoming endemic, but we are not there yet. So we are cautious about making very firm predictions about what may happen because each country is dealing with this pandemic differently in terms of their strategy, in terms of the implementation of their control measures, in terms of their adjustment of those control measures." End of quote. So for now, we have to be able to live with the virus. In order to do this safely, we need to meet our vaccination targets nationwide as soon as possible. Those who are being hospitalized, serious or critical, are mostly the unvaccinated. If more of us get our jabs, the lesser the number of critical or serious cases we will have, and the less likely our healthcare systems will be overwhelmed. Makakaasa ang lahat na patuloy ang inyong pamahalaan sa mga programa kontra COVID-19. Hindi tayo tumitigil sa pagtatalakay at paghahanap ng mga solusyon para sa lahat ng mga issues and concerns dulot ng pandemya upang ang ating ekonomiya at mga kababayan ay tuluyan ng makabawi at makabangon muli. VCO is a readily available commodity in our country. with its antiviral properties shown to be safe and effective at viruses, we have another effective weapon in our battle against COVID-19. Again, our full support to the findings of this latest study. I join the DOST and its partners in this project in their call to use the results of the VCO study and help disseminate these. Please be safe and healthy. Have a productive day ahead ug daghang salamat kaninyong tanan.
Daghang salamat po, Secretary Nograles. Maraming salamat po sa words of support coming from our Cabinet Secretary. Before we hear from the panel of our reactors and mag-proceed po tayo sa pinakaantay nating question and answer portion ngayong umaga, makikisuy lang po ako sa inyo kung pwede po tayong magsagawa ng isang virtual groupie muna para po may commemorate natin itong ating activity natin this morning. Having said that, may I request everyone to open your camera and join us in this photo opportunity. Okay, so I guess I'll just leave it to Sir Nix to count para po mas organized po yung gagawin nating groupie this morning. Smile po tayo sa ating camera. Alright, sa first frame po tayo. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Ayan, thank you. Thank you so much. Proceed po tayo sa pangalawang frame. So I think, Sir Nick, ilang frame ba tayo? We have 3. Okay, sa second frame po tayo. Alright, 1, 2, 3. Alright, maraming salamat po. And to the last frame po tayo. Alright, 1, 2, 3. Ayan. Maraming salamat po sa pagngiti sa ating camera. Kung mabibigyan na po sana tayo ng pagkakataon na magkasama-sama sa isang kwarto. But unfortunately, dahil po sa setup natin ngayon, ganito po muna ang ating gagawing mga virtual, ating mga groupie. So, let us now proceed to the detailed understanding and interactive unearthing, if you may allow me to use that word, of the results of the follow-through VCO study. So I guess to our friends who are in our YouTube page, you may type your questions in our chat box. And also sa mga kasama po natin dito sa Zoom, pwede rin po kayong mag-type ng inyong mga questions sa ating chat box, and our technical team will look into it para po masagot ng ating mga panelists. So ready and available to answer your queries is actually our panel of reactors, representing the key sectors relevant to the completed study of the virgin coconut oil against COVID-19. With us this morning is Administrator Benjamin R. Madrigal Jr. of the Philippine Coconut Authority. Also, we have Dr. Jaime C. Montoya of the DOST Philippine Council for Health Research and Development, and Regional Director Jose Patalinhug III of DOST National Capital Region. We are also joined by one of the members of the study team, Dr. Fabian Antonio Dairit from the Ateneo de Manila University. So before po tayo mag-entertain ng mga questions mula sa ating mga media friends and from everyone in our YouTube channel, perhaps may we ask maybe short insights from our panel of reactors on what they think about the results of the trial and how it can be relevant to the country's mitigating measures against COVID-19. May we hear from Administrator Madrigal. Sir, magandang umaga po sa inyo.
Magandang umaga po sa ating kinagalang na Secretary Fortunato de la Peña, sa ating mga participants sa umagang ito. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. Ito po ay very encouraging result nitong patuloy na ating pag-aaral para malaman ang yung efficacy ng ating virgin coconut oil to assist us in this fight against COVID. At ito nga po, maliban po dito sa ating ginagawang pag-aaral, kami po ni Dr. Dairit bilang miyembro ng International Coconut Community are also encouraging other coconut producing countries that are members of the International Coconut Community to conduct similar studies no, dahil napaka-importante po to be able to address una yung kagandahan o health benefits nitong ating produkto ng virgin coconut oil, and at the same time to address po yung sabi nga natin yung mga some detractors or some negative issues regarding coconut oil na ginagawa rin po natin at the international community level, especially with the Food and Agriculture Organization and the World Health Organization, dahil yung nga po gusto nating maiparating na ang ating coconut oil is a healthy alternative, no? Healthy alternative doon po sa ating pandaigdigang merkado. Now, on the part of PCA, napakalaking pasasalamat din po na kami ay kasama sa pag-aaral na ito. At on our part, ang pinag-aaralan po namin, sabi nga po ni Dr. Dairit, at the end of the day, ang important ang is genetics. So kami naman po kung anong variety ng coconut ang mataas ang lauric content, dahil makikita natin to na mas yung mai-recommend natin sa gusto mag-produce ng VCO, kung anong naangkop na varieties ang dapat itanim. Meron po tayong based doon sa aming pag-aaral about 4 hybrids at meron ding 6 na local tall and 4 pa na dwarf varieties from among the 263 varieties of coconut that we have, na inire-recommenda natin na pwedeng gamitin kung gustong VCO ang itatanim. At ito yung matataas ang lauric content, yung umaabot po ng 45 to 60% yung kanilang lauric content. At marami pong salamat sa pagkakataong binigay sa Philippine Coconut Authority sa paglahok sa pag-aaral na ito. Maraming po salamat.
Maraming salamat po, Administrator Madrigal. Nakaka-excite yung paglawak, no? Hindi lang po yung paglabas ng mga studies sa ibang bansa, kundi pati na rin po yung pag-aaralan na rin yung mga varieties ng coconut. Gusto rin po namin marinig ang perspective ng isa sa mga prime movers po nitong ating trial, VCO trial. Sila po yung nakasama ng DOST-FNRI mula pa nung study natin sa Santa Rosa. Good morning po, Dr. Jaime Montoya. Thank you po for joining us.
Yes, magandang umaga muli kay Secretary, sa mga namumuno sa DOST, mga kasamahan ko sa DOST, sa media, mga researchers po at scientists, ang mga project implementers led by Director Imelda Agdepa of the DOST-FNRI and Dr. Academician Toby David. Muli, magandang umaga po. Ang masasabi ko lang po ay ito po ay bahagi ng patuloy na suporta na binibigay ng PCHRD para sa mga makabuluhang mga pag-aaral na makatutulong upang malutas natin sa lalong madaling panahon ang problemang ating kinaharap ngayon, which is VCO. Siguro po inyong marirealize, kayo may mga kamag-anak na nagka-COVID, lalo na ngayon, dumadami ang mga naapektuhan ng COVID-19. Mas malinaw po na nakikita natin kung anong nararamdaman ng mga taong dinadapuan ng SARS-CoV-2 o nagkakasakit ng COVID-19. Napakalaki pong discomfort dahil bukod sa sila ay ma-isolate, ay sila po ay maraming nararamdaman at maraming mga pag-aalinlangan at takot dahil hindi po nila alam kung sila ay mananatiling ganoon o sila ay lalala. Ito po mga pag-aaral na ito ay nagbibigay sa atin ng posibilidad at option na meron po tayo mga likas na gamot na nalalaman at nasa Pilipinas na pwede nating gamitin upang maibsan ang mga nararamdaman ng mga pasyente, mga tao na may COVID-19. Ako po isang doktor, kaya alam ko po na isa sa mga mahalagang kailangang matulungan ng ating mga pasyente ay maibsan ang kanilang mga nararamdaman. Minsan ngayon pa pinaka-importante, yung mawalan sila ng nararamdaman o mapabilis ang kanilang pagkawala ng kanilang mga nararamdaman. Ito po ang ginagawa ng PCO at kami po ay natutuwa sa kinalabasan ng resulta ng Valenzuela at Santa Rosa study na pareho pong consistent ang result na nagsasabi na mas maaga nga pong napapagaling ang mga nabibigyan ng VCO, whether ito inihahalo sa pagkain o ito ay iniinom na parang medicine. So patuloy pa po ang pag-aaral ng PCHRD sa iba pa pong mga dapat maintindihan at malaman sa VCO. May napakagandang basihan para po talaga mapalaganap ang ating paniniwala na talagang VCO ay malaki ang maitutulong para maibsan ang mga simptomas nararamdaman ng mga pasyenteng may COVID-19. Salamat po.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. Montoya, sa exciting opportunities ulit ng paglawak ng mga studies natin on virgin coconut oil in support sa nasusuportan po ng Philippine Council for Health Research and Development at ng Department of Science and Technology. Magandang umaga, Dr. B. Gusto rin po namin marinig ang inyong opinion regarding po sa naging resulta ng ating pag-aaral sa virgin coconut oil.
Sige, maraming salamat at magandang umaga sa lahat ng ating nakikinig. Unang-una, I'd like to congratulate FNRI and thank DOST, PCHRD for continuing yung kanilang support para tukol dito sa VCO study against COVID. Siguro I'd like to emphasize a few things. Yung unang study ay ginawa noong 2020, noong mga May to June. At noon, talagang Wuhan virus pa yon. At una, pangalawa, wala talagang treatment na binibigay dun sa mga pasyente, parang magpapahinga lang. Itong pangalawang study, 2021, around July, na yan, Delta variant na yan. And may dagdag na rin na treatment sa mga may sakit, binibigyan na ng antibiotics. So, parehong COVID ang problema, pero iba yung variant, iba yung virus, at medyo iba rin yung treatment. But in both cases, effective ang VCO. In fact, the results are almost not identical dahil iba naman ang conditions, but they're actually comparable, which really proves or supports our hypothesis that the VCO will not be affected by mutations in the virus, which is very important dahil ibig sabihin nito, and probably kahit na sa Omicron, basta lipid-coated ang virus, ay magiging effective pa rin ang VCO. But of course, it remains to be proven. So I think that's a very important point. The second important point is dapat kunin na mag-VCO habang maaga pa yung disease. Huwag maghintay na seryoso na dahil sa hospital ka na, iba na yung treatment doon. So while it's early, if you have the symptoms, take VCO right away. And even better if you take it every day para dahil sa Omicron nga, halos, it's almost inevitable that you might get Omicron. So it's good to have VCO in your system. So I think that's a second point. The third point is, and DOST is also supporting the effort that we have to understand the mechanism for this. Kasi sa in the world of science, hindi lang sapat yung sasabihin mo that it's effective. Tatanong sa iyo, why is it effective? So kailangan malaman yung detailed mechanism of why it works. And also that will help you understand para saan pa siya pwedeng gamitin. Kasi kung depending nga sa mechanism, then you know against what viruses it might be effective for and so forth. So that's the third point. The fourth point, I think pwede na sigurong ang VCO na parang functional food to support treatment against viruses. And there's enough evidence na it helps us in antibiotic activity and antiviral activity. And then maybe my last point is maybe to support what PC Administrator Madrigal said about support also for the coconut industry and research also on coconut itself. So yun lang, and again, maraming salamat sa DOST, congratulations sa FNRI, at ipatuloy natin ang ating research tungkol sa VCO. Sige, maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. B. So while you're speaking, parang naisip ko yung famous na sinasabi natin na an apple a day. So pwede po bang sabihin na a VCO a day keeps COVID away? Pwede na po ba yun? Dr. B.
Tama yun. Pwede natin palitan.
Okay, at this point po, gusto rin po natin marinig ang perspective po ng ating director from the DOST National Capital Region, Dr. Jose Patalihog III. Sir, magandang umaga po sa inyo.
Magandang araw po, Secretary de la Peña, Yusek Guevara,
kay Director Mel Agdepa, kay kay Dr. Dairit, Director Jimmy Montoya, kay General Benji. Magandang araw po sa ating mga kasama. Kami po bilang isa sa mga regional offices po ng DOST, kami katungkulan po namin na sumuporta sa mga activities ng mga agencies natin, lalong-lalo na ang mga research and development institutes ng DOST. Kaya kami, nung kami nabigyan ng pagkakataon, kami hindi nagdalawang isip at nagtaas agad ng kamay para tumulong sa mga hangarin na maipatupad at mapakalat natin ang programa ng FNRI, lalong-lalo na itong pag-aaral natin sa VCO dito sa Muntinlupa at sa Valenzuela. Kami po ay tumulong para mag-provide ng necessary manpower at pondo para umandar po ang research and development R&D nitong VCO. Kami nagagalak at lumabas na ang resulta. Ito na yung pinakaiintay natin after 2 years na from Santa Rosa to Valenzuela. Ito na, pinapahayag na ng DOST ang mabubuting mabalita tungkol sa VCO at isa na naman itong vindication sa coconut industry. Sana harinawa ay tulungan nyo ang DOST at ang PCA at ang coconut industry na ito ay makakabuti sa ating katawan. Tama, hindi lang mansanas ang ating kakainin, VCO na ang ating inumin kada araw para sa ating kalusugan. Magandang umaga at maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Maraming salamat po, Director Patalinhug. So kasama ng VCO, kasama ng mansanas, ang masustansyang pagkain. Lagi po natin iisipin yan. Isama natin sa araw-araw po nating regimen para po maging malakas tayo against COVID-19. Nakapin din po sa ating screen ang ating Undersecretary for Research and Development, Ma'am Rowena Cristina Guevara. Good morning po sa inyo. And of course, our Secretary Fortunato T. de la Peña, nakahanda rin pong sumagot sa inyong mga katanungan. And having said that, dumako na tayo sa ating mga tanong. Question and answer na portion na po tayo. Magsisimula po muna ako sa mga nakatype ng mga tanong sa ating chat box. So I think this question is for the study team. Unahin po natin siguro pagsabayin ko na po yung tanong ni Dr. Almeda and Ms. Sing Thieu. This is for the study team. Good morning. From the Valenzuela study, when and what are the results of the RT-PCR test for the midline data? Gusto po nilang malaman kung ano po yung naging resulta ng ating RT-PCR test sa midline. Yun po yung una. And then, sunod po doon, perhaps Dr. Agdepa, pwede po siguro nating sagutin muna yung tanong na yun from Dr. Almeda.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Almeda, for the question. As you have seen in our results, day 14 RT-PCR test was already normalized. This is actually reflected also in our CRP results that at day 14, CRP are already declining below 5 ml per milligrams.
All right.
Thank you po.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. Agdepa. This is another question from Sing Thieu. I have noted all studies using VCO only 3 tablespoons per day. That is too small dosage for physical challenged persons. Perhaps gusto po nila magkaroon ng clarification regarding dito po sa naging dosage po natin, Dr. Agdepa. Perhaps yung basis po ng ating dose na binibigay para sa ating mga participants.
No.
Yes, thank you again. Actually, the dose is not actually the same across all individuals who were confined. Remember that we have actually the computation of the dose per ml of VCO per kilogram body weight. So ang sinasabi po natin at the very start of the intervention, that is actually first 3 days, we gave them 0.6 ml of VCO per kilogram body weight. So it's actually the computation of the dose is dependent on the weight of the individual. So hindi lang po 3 tablespoon, kundi po depende po sa timbang ng individual. And then bakit po namin sinasabing 0.6 ml for the first 3 days, 0.6 ml per kilogram body weight? Dahil po gusto po natin i-acclimatize yung ating gut para sa oily environment. Then later on, we have increased it 2 times. So it's actually 1.2 ml per kilogram body weight. So kung i-compute po natin, yung 50 kilograms na 120, that is actually already equivalent to 4 tablespoons per day. 1 tablespoon is equal to 15 ml.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Dr. Agdepa. So i-clarify po natin na yung dosage po na binibigay natin ay relative o nakadepende sa timbang ng isang tao. And at the same time, meron po tayong tinatawag na acclimatization, no, para masanay muna yung katawan doon sa unang 3 araw ng ating mas mababang dose. Ano po? So proceed po tayo sa next question, and perhaps Yusek Gev and Secretary De La Peña can answer po this question. This is from the Manila Times, from Ms. Catherine Cruz. Given the confirmatory results of the use of VCO among mild and moderate COVID-19 cases, what will be the next steps of DOST in recommending its use for the public? Yun po yung kanyang unang tanong.
Thank you very much for that question. Alam niyo po, ang DOST, why we are asking you to be here today, so that we can report the result of the scientific study performed by our researchers. Now, moving forward, ang kailangan po mangyari sana is for our VCO producers to apply to FDA for additional indication for VCO. Ibig sabihin po nun, kasi ngayon ang VCO, functional food, approved yan ng FDA, dun sa mga may tatak na FDA approved. Ano? Pero kung gusto nating maisama yung indication na may be used to relieve symptoms of mild and moderate COVID-19, kailangan pong mag-apply sila sa FDA. At ikinatutuwa ko pong sabihin sa inyo na with the help of Dr. Fabian Dairit at saka ng ating VCO producers, nandun na po sila sa stage na they're preparing the papers for submission to the Food and Drug Administration of the Philippines. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, Yusek Geb. So essentially po, gagamitin natin itong resulta ng study na to para mas strengthen yung mga claims po natin regarding the virgin coconut oil. Dr. Toby, Dr. Agdepa, perhaps itong mga susunod na tanong po, pwede pong i-address. Una-una po dito, yung again, from the Manila Times, is it safe that direct consumption of BCO for patients was better than mixing it with prepared food? And magkakandak po ba ang DOST ng further studies this time for the severe and critical cases of COVID-19?
Dr. Toby, do you want to? Okay.
Sige. Well, of course, the first study was gustong randomized double-blind. And then the second study was it was taken directly. Dun sa una, ang advantage doon talagang walang minimize yung bias from the patient kasi hindi niya alam kung cause ng VCO o hindi. Sa pangalawa, alam niya, pero ang advantage doon, mas masusukat mo na yung exact dose na binigay ay makukuha niya. Kasi kung sa pagkain, kung hindi niya inubos ang pagkain, kailangan mong timbangin yung pagkain. Kaya may variability. So, yun ang difference dun sa na dalawang study. But I think the results are still the same. I think it's just a personal preference whether you want to take it with food or you want to take it directly. Ako, I do both. Depende sa kinakain ko. Kuminsan nilalagyan ko yung pagkain ko ng VCO, kuminsan dinediretso ko. So I think it's a matter of personal preference. There may be a little variability, pero ang advantage naman sa VCO ay hindi naman siya kumbaga drug na kailangan eksaktong, so many milligrams ang ibibigay mo. It's a functional food. So malaki ang margin na so I think that's the big advantage of VCO. And right now, wala namang overdose effects ang VCO. The worst is that you get a bad stomach. Ngayon, tungkol whether you can use VCO for serious cases, siguro medyo may kahirapan yan. Kasi kung serious case, nasa hospital na yan. And of course, there will be protocols in the hospital. It's possible na kung masama na yung pasyente ay hindi mo na pwedeng bigyan ng pagkain through the mouth. So it's more difficult and I think more tricky to expect na gagawa ng clinical study for severe cases, which is really hospital-based. So the advice is really to take VCO when it's still mild, or even better if you take VCO every day as prophylactic protection. So yun lang ang masasabi mo. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Dr. B. Maraming salamat po. All right. Meron po another question from the chat box. Perhaps Dr. B again and Dr. Montoya can also help us enlighten our guests in this question. Is there a study on the levels of antibodies developed after VCO applications to COVID-19 patients and non-COVID patients? Yun po yung tanong po ni Mr. John Emmanuel Merhan. And again, can we categorically claim that VCO can be a good alternative for COVID-19 vaccine? This could be news for the anti-vaxxers daw po who preferred not to get the vaccine because of different reasons.
Yeah, well, first of all, VCO is not a vaccine. Iba ang purpose ng vaccine, iba ang purpose ng VCO. So I think the best is to do both para you get double protection. Ngayon, tungkol dun sa whether VCO, how the effect on antibodies, there have been studies in the past. In fact, the first one was done by my father year 1998 pa, na tumataas ang CD4, CD8 levels, and then a follow-up study, but this is on HIV. So medyo iba yung disease. Ngayon, certainly that can be studied now, but it's going to be a fairly costly study, I think, kasi mahal mag-monitor ng antibodies. That's certainly possible, but I guess it really depends on the design of the study and so forth. But it's a good suggestion, but it will be a costly study.
If I can add to what was stated by Dr. Dairit, well, first of all, as was already emphasized by Dr. Dairit, hindi po ito bakuna. So unang-unang dapat maintindihan at maunawaan ng publiko at ng ating mga kababayan, hindi ito bakuna at hindi ito dinevelop para maging kakompetensya o kamukha ng bakuna. Magkaiba po yan. So, hindi po siya pwedeng maging replacement sa bakuna. So, kung ano man ang ginagawang programa ng vaccination ngayon, kailangan magpatuloy yan. Hindi po ito pwedeng substitute for that. Ikalawa po, ang bakuna ibinibigay para maiwasan nyo ang sakit o hindi kayo magka-infeksyon. No? Ang mga pag-aaral na isagawa po natin so far ay doon sa mga pasyente na mayroon ng infeksyon. Bagamat ito ay mild cases o yung mga simptomas ay mild. So hindi po siya comparable. Kasi yung bakuna para sa wala pang infeksyon, ang VCO para sa may infeksyon na sa nakita natin mga pag-aaral para po maibsan kaagad yung mga simptomas, lalo na for the mildly symptomatic, at also consequently, hindi lumala ang sakit at gumaling sila kaagad. So gusto ko lang dinawin yan. However, meron tayong mga tinitingnan na pag-aaral na baka kung yan ang VCO ay ibibigay, para bang mouthwash, no? Na pag kayo nagbumog ng mouth na ginamit nyo ang Bactidol o yung oral betadine na mouthwash, ay maiiwasan nyo ang pagkakaroon ng mga infeksyon sa lalamunan, no? Tinitingnan natin yan sa pamamagitan ng may mga tinitingnan tayong mga pag-aaral na pwedeng gawin na pwede siguro siyang gawing parang mouthwash din o nasal spray. At bakit ganon? Dahil kung siya ay talaga pumapatay ng virus, alam naman natin na ang pasukan ng COVID virus ay sa ilong, no, at sa ating mga mucosal surfaces, pwedeng sa bibig, no? So kung yan pa ay ating mumumog o yan ba igagawin natin din sa spray, mapoproteksyonan pa tayo na hindi makapasok yung virus. So tinitingnan po natin yan at siguro isa yan sa mga pag-aaral na pwedeng isagawa in the future. Tinitingnan na po natin yung mga application regarding that. Salamat po.
Maraming salamat po, Doc. Yes, Secretary. Yes po.
Tatanong ko lang kay Dr. Montoya, pero approved siya as a health supplement, hindi ba?
Opo, binabago lang natin yung mode of delivery. Kasi po, siyempre, sa approved na food supplement, iniinom. No? Pero ito, tinitingnan natin kung ito ina-administer through the nose o minumumog, hindi iniinom, minumumog o inilalagay sa ilong, makatutulong ba to para maiwasan yung mapigilan ang pagpasok noong virus? Yan nalanghap mo, nandun siya sa iyong mga ilong, makakatulong ba to para mapatay na siya at that point? So tinitina po natin yan.
Hindi, ibig ko sabihin, kamukha ng binanggit kanina na a tablespoon a day, keep the doctor away. Ibig ko sabihin, pwede siyang gamitin kay may nararamdaman ka, kay wala, sa pang-araw-araw, hindi ba? As a health supplement?
Yes po. Kasama na po yan sa indication na inaprubahan ng FDA. Bagamat, hindi po siya specific. Hindi po kasama doon na sinasabi ito talaga ay pwede sa COVID-19. Na sinasabi lang yan, pwede mo siyang inumin as a food supplement para makatulong na yung mapangalagaan iyong kalusugan.
Okay.
Pero hindi po i-specify na ito ay talaga makatutulong sa COVID-19.
Okay.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Sec Boy, and Doc Montoya, for providing us with the context at yung pagbibigay sa atin ng iba pang mga alternatibong pamamaraan kung paano natin pwedeng i-administer ang virgin coconut oil. Balansihin po natin ang mga tanong. No? At this point, palagi ko nangangalay na rin po yung mga kasama natin. Kanina pa naka-raise yung mga kamay. So I'll now prompt, perhaps tawagin na natin yung mga kasama natin sa Zoom na nag-raise din po ng hand. First, I think may I ask the technical team to unmute. From GMA, Mr. JP Soriano. Good morning, Sir JP.
Hi. Good morning. Good morning, Secretary, and all the officials, and Dr. Montoya. First of all, I absolutely applaud all your commitment po in helping our Filipino people. I just would like to clarify, meron po bang any indication na yung ginawang study sa Valenzuela prove that by taking directly yung VCO, mas napabilis yung number of days na naka-recover, or same lang with mixing? Parang kasi kanina may nabanggit ko na parang may konting days na mas mabilis yung recovery pag directing binigay. Tama po ba? Kung sino naman po yung pwedeng maka-answer. Thank you.
Si Dr. Agdepa na siguro.
Yes po, sir. Maraming salamat po, Sir JP, for that question. Actually, tama po, ang nakita po natin ay mas mabilis po yung Valenzuela na nagkaroon ng resolution ng signs and symptoms as compared sa ating Santa Rosa study. However, ang importante po dito ay sa dalawang studies po na yon ay pareho na trend. Ang nakita po natin na ito pong VCO na ito ay nakapagtutulong sa pagbaba ng simptomas as early as 2 days in both groups. So ang sabi po natin ay kahit na anong modality, be it be yung direct na iniinom o kaya ihalo natin sa pagkain, ay talagang nakakatulong po ang VCO sa ating resolution ng signs and symptoms o yung pagkawala ng signs and symptoms ng ating COVID-19. Salamat po. Did I answer the question, Sir JP?
Thank you po, Doc Man. Sir JP, was Dr. Adepa able to answer your question?
Nakamute po siya.
Nakamute niya, Sir JP. Maybe ask the technical, paki-unmute na lang po si Sir JP. Right.
Ayan, yes. Opo, yeah, thank you po. Follow up lang po, Sir Jacos, tanong ko lang po. Yung po bang symptoms na sinasabi natin, kasi ito po yung time na to sa Valenzuela, ang pinag-uusapan na po natin ito, Delta variant na ho, ano po yung mga mild symptoms na nawala agad, just to be very specific? Ano po to, chills, lagnat, hindi po ba makahinga, ano po ba yung mga na-ease po agad doon because of after 14 days?
Now, although we did not actually try to analyze one by one the different signs and symptoms, pero as per our data landscape, ang una-una pong nawala ay yung fever. So and then followed by actually the frequency of coughing. So sabi nila, ito po ay konting-konti na lang compared po noong wala pa akong VCO. So as time goes on until yung kanilang day 14, sabi nga, pag nakita po yung graph, as early as 2 days nga, nawala na yung kanilang fever. Yun po yung symptoms na sinasabi nating nauna. And then yung cough, tapos yung kanilang sipon at saka sore throat.
Opo. Secretary Peña, ibig sabihin po ba nito pag kung ako mapanood ko po ito mamaya, let's say sa 24 oras sa balita, pwede na po akong, pag ako po may alam ko pong nag-positive ako at may sintomas ako ng COVID, I can now take VCO every after meals, ganyan, or agad-agad. Okay na po yun, wala na pong kaso yun, no?
Wala na. Kahit nga wala kang symptoms, pwede ka uminom.
Right. So yun po. May just briefly shift to another topic related lang din po. Ano po ang final recommendation ng or latest recommendation ng DOST at mga officials natin sa lagundi? Are we now recommending it? Pwede na po bang magpakulo ng dahon ng lagundi? And meron ho bang proper way of doing that as treatment din to COVID-19?
Siguro si Yusek Guevara or si Dr. Montoya na ang magpaliwanag dyan. Kasi alam mo, yung pagpapakulo ng tubig, yan naman ang gawa ng araw. Kaya lang sa panahon ngayon, hindi mo malaman kung yung dami ng dahon mo ipinakulo ngayon at yung dami ng dahon mo ipinakulo kahapon, pareho ang epekto. Kaya meron tayong standardization na ginagawa, kaya meron na tayong standardized products, syrup, tablet, at may recommended doses na. So maybe you can help me use it again.
Natapos din yung ating study sa Lagundi noong August last year. At meron na kasing available sa mga drugstores at saka sa mga pharmacy nitong Lagundi, either in syrup or in capsule. So sundin na lang po natin yung dosage noon kasi mahirap po yung sabi nga ni Sec, hindi natin alam ilang dahon, gaano karaming tubig, gaano katagal magpapakuluan, and so on. At murang-mura naman po ang ating mga produktong ito dahil local po itong Lagundi sa ating mga pharmacy. At napakita po doon sa study na yon na yung mga simptomas ng COVID-19 na mild ay nare-relieve, especially yung loss of smell o yung kawalan ng pang-amoy. Salamat po.
Maraming salamat po, Yusik Geb, Sec Boy.
May karagdagan lang, paliwanag.
Yes po.
Doon sa pagpapakulo at yung pag-inom noong tabletas o kapsula ng Lagundi. Gusto ko lang kasi paliwanag na maaari naman na magpakulo. Kaya lang sinabi na nga ni Secretary de la Peña na mahirap natin masukat kung ang iniinom na isang tao na ganitong karaming tubig at ganitong karaming dahon ay kamukha rin ng iniinom ng isa. Hindi po na-standardize yan. Gusto ko lang po kasi highlight ang ikalawang problema. Kasi po sa pag-aaral po namin, marami pong mga lumalabas na Lagundi na hindi naman pala Lagundi. May mga komunidad tayo na nagsasabi, may Lagundi po kami, ayan tumutubo. Tapos tininan po ng ating mga scientists at yung ating mga may eksperto po dyan na tinitingnan, ayan ba ito toong Lagundi? Pinag-aralan po yan, hindi po. So kamukha lang ng Lagundi pero hindi para Lagundi. So yun po isa ring bakit po namin importanteng sinasabi yan? Dahil po sa medisina po, ang sinusunod natin prinsipyo kung ano po ang ginamit na produkto o sangkap sa isang pag-aaral, doon nyo lang po masasabi na yun ay epektibo. Hindi nyo pwede sabihin na kahit ano na lang, pwede kasi may nagawa na pag-aaral. Hindi po ganun. So, kailangan sigurado tayo na yun talaga ay Lagundi. At ikatlo po, at alam to ni Dr. Dairit na eksperto natin sa mga herbal plants, iba-iba po kung saan po siya tumubo, ano po yung klima na yung napoproduce na klase ng Lagundi. So, maybe you have the right Lagundi, pero environment kung saan po siya tumubo at yung klima at iba pang mga natural factors po, nagdedetermina rin kung ano po yung kalidad ng Lagundi na makukuha nyo. Pwedeng mababa yung tinatawag na yield o para yung siya ay magkaroon ng epekto o mataas. Hindi po natin masasabi yan. So para maiwasan niya, kailangan ma-standardize po yung Lagundi. Salamat po.
Salamat po, Dr. Montoya. So very important yung standardization. Ano po. Siguro mag-entertain na rin po tayo ng ibang mga questions. Perhaps at this point, may we ask the technical team to unmute Dr. Ruby Cristobal from DZRH. Good morning po, Dr. Ruby.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Secretary. I'm attending as DZRH Radio Henio Anchor and as DOST Media Corps. My question primarily is about VCO being classified as a treatment later on. What are or what kinds of studies are needed to look into it as a treatment or as a natural remedy, meaning as a naturally derived drugs against COVID-19? And of course, in my interview with Dr. Dairit in our program, you mentioned that you can also probably get it from other sources, like really taking food that would have coconut oil, like, the kakanins, for those who don't have access to VCO. And that was something that I think would be very valuable to some people who don't have access to VCO, like those in the rural areas. And for some who are taking lauric acid, which can be bought directly in the mga drug stores, even in Watson's or even in some other outlets, do they take it in the same dosage as VCO? Thank you. Thank you po.
Dr. B, pwede po ba nating sagutin yung tanong po sa atin ni Dr. B?
Yeah. Yung unang yung tungkol sa sa dosage, I think that's precisely the reason why we're referring to it as a functional food. Kasi kung sinabi mong drug, then you're talking about specific dosages, and then normally kailangan mo na ng specific mechanism para maging drug siya. And that is not the way we are at least at this point thinking about recommending VCO. We're really recommending it as a functional food. Ngayon, yung tungkol sa paggamit ng pag-ingest ng coconut dishes, doon din naman nanggagaling kung gumawa ka ng gata, magkakaroon ka rin ng coconut oil doon. Pero tulad niya ng walang dosage, it's really a food. So again, it's good for the diet, pero walang specific if you take so much na gagaling ka or whatever. So it's certainly good for the diet, but again, it's less precise. Ganon. Pangatlo, the third question is about yung ibang products na may lauric acid. Well, specifically, the tests were done on VCO. So it really applies only to VCO. Now, it might be extended, but since the study was not done on those products, walang specific claim na it will be effective. But I mean, they can say they also have lauric acid, but hanggang dun lang. The recognition will be for VCO.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. B. Dr. B, I hope Dr. B was able to answer your question. Perhaps, siguro ang isang importanting point po na sinabi ni Dr. B is that hindi naman drug ang virgin coconut oil, but as a functional food. Ano po yun yung naging classification po ng ating virgin coconut oil. May sunod po na i-unmute natin from the technical team si Miss Bel Surara ng DCEZ Radio Aguila. Magandang umaga po sa inyo, Ma'am Bel.
Hello po, magandang araw po. Opo, napakaganda po. Thank you po sa presentation. Congratulations po, FNRI, DOST. Ang tanong ko lang po, ngayon po laganap ang Omicron. Sabi po kasi kanina, di ba, severe, mild and moderate cases. Pag halimbawa po, binanggit na po kasi during the mga past interviews po yung mga signs and symptoms ng Omicron. Pwede po ba kapag nakaramdam ang isang tao nung, syempre po running na po for the word, napapraning na po talaga yung marami nating mga kababayan. Experience na po dito sa mga kapitbahay namin. Pag konting lang po, kumating lalamunan, sumakit, ang throat, tapos medyo inubo, naisip agad din ako magkaka-Omicron ako. Pwede po bang agad na uminom ng VCO for ano po, panghadlang po agad? Kumbaga, prevention po. Pwede po kaya yung ganon? Kahit po yun lang muna yung nararamdaman. Tapos susundin po yung dosage. Okay lang po ba yun?
Yes, Jacobs, can I answer?
Sir Doc Mel, opo. Go ahead
Yes,
po.
Ma'am Bell, yes, because remember that the patients in the emergency hospital in Valenzuela are actually already having symptoms because they are already considered mild and moderate. So you can take actually VCO while you have the symptoms and signs, but also we are also recommending that even though you don't have the signs and symptoms, it's actually safe to take VCO as a preventive modality of, having infections. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, Doc Mel. I hope, Ma'am Bell, nasagot po ni Dr. Agdepan yung inyong katanungan. May we also entertain the question from Ms. Maria Hernandez. Good morning po, Ma'am Maria. Hello, good morning po. Okay, sige, perhaps, sige, doon po tayo sa next question. Ma'am Maria, nagsasalita na po ba kayo? Sorry, hindi po namin kayo marinig. Okay, habang inaayos, hello? Okay, so habang inaayos po natin, perhaps may we ask the technical team to unmute Mr. Michael Joe Deliso from ABS-CBN. Good morning, Sir Michael.
Hello, everyone. Good morning and thank you. Can you now categorically recommend the use of VCO against COVID-19 kahit wala pa pong approved indication from FDA na magagamot ito yung magagamot ito yung COVID-19 at paano po ito iti-take, gaano karami, kada ilang oras po?
Pwede ko ba sagutin yung tanong na yan?
Yes, Dr. Montoya.
Okay.
Go ahead po.
Salamat po sa tanong. Ganito po yan. Kailangan malinaw na pag tayo ay pinag-uusapan natin ang mga pag-aaral, yung mga konklusyon na makukuha natin base doon sa pag-aaral, ay mai-apply lang doon sa populasyon na yon. So halimbawa, yung sinasabi natin, kung ikaw ay may COVID-19, confirm dahil doon sa Valenzuela study, at ikaw ay may mild symptoms na hindi naman nangangailangan ikay mo ospital, pwede kang uminom ng VCO para mas maaga mawala ang iyong mga simptomas. Any conclusion beyond that should be supported by similar studies. Ang ibig sabihin ko po, nakita nyo naman na sinasabi doon, mas mabilis ang pagkawala ng simptomas. So, kung ang inyong objective ay para mawala ka agad ang inyong simptomas, pwede kayong uminom ng VCO. Dahil yun po ang lumabas na resulta ng pag-aaral. Pero, kung sasabihin lang natin general na against VCO, tingin ko po ay kailangan pa ng malawakang pag-aaral yon. Dahil pag sinabi natin against COVID-19, marami na po tayong kinukonsidera, hindi lang po simptomas. Ibig sabihin po, pag ganyan po ang ating balak na gawin, kailangan po ay under the supervision of a health professional. Siguro sila po magsasabi ng, o sige, uminom ka ng VCO, pero kailangan uminom ka pa ng dito mga gamot na to. Halimbawa, no, gusto ko lang ipaliwanag, meron na tayong mga gamot para hindi ka magkaroon ng komplikasyon kung ikaw high risk, katulad ng Molnupiravir o yung Paxlovid. So, ibig sabihin, ang doktor ang magsasabi na sasabihin niya, o uminom ka na ng Molnupiravir, pero pwede ka na uminom ng VCO, dagdag yan. No? So, gusto sana namin yun now dahil wag po tayo aasa sa isa lang pamamaraan, lalo na sa isang komplikadong sakit katulad ng COVID-19 at lalo na sa Omicron. Kailangan po ay meron pa rin health professional supervision na magsasabi, yun lang ba ay makasasapat na o kailangan uminom pa kayo ng ibang gamot? So gusto ko na sana linawin yon kasi baka kasi ang mangyari dyan, oo, ang VCO, pwede na natin inumin. So dyan na lang, okay na ako. Hindi po namin sinasabi yon. Ang sinasabi namin ay pwede nyo inumin yan. Maganda. Pero baka may kailangan pa kayong ibang inumin. At ang makapagsasabi niyan ay ang health professional, katulad ng mga doktor. Dahil sila po nakaalam ng iyong kondisyon. Dahil ang kondisyon mo ng mga pasyente, iba-iba. Hindi po kayo pwede mag-generalize. Pwede isang pasyente, mayroong risk factor, yung isa wala. Marami pong konsiderasyon na gano'n. At maaaring iba rin po ang pagmamanage. So sana po malinaw yon. Salamat po.
Salamat po, Dr. Montoya. So,
Pwede bang magtanong din ako kay Dr. Montoya?
Yes po, Secretary.
Hindi ko alam kasi kung may taga-DOH dito sa ating grupo o sa taga-PhilHealth. Ang tanong ko lang, bakit ang Lagundi ay isinama sa health kit ng PhilHealth pero parang wala yata ang VCO?
Baka po ang tanongin natin ay ating mga kasamahan sa DOH o sa PhilHealth po.
Meron
po yata tayong mga kasama from DOH.
Pwede po bang mag-raise ng hand yung mga kasama po natin na galing po ng DOH? I-check ko lang po dito sa...
Alam ko, ang nadinig ko lang...
Meron tayo.
Si Dr. Gutierrez lang nadinig ko sa FDA. Ewan ko meron sa DOH.
So far po ay...
Pero tama. PhilHealth po yata ang nagdetermina. Secretary, PhilHealth po ang nag-determine kung ano po yung mapapasama sa kanilang package.
Okay. Oo. Kaya nga ang tanong ko, bet ang Lagundi kasama ang VCO, hindi?
Magandang tanong po yan. Baka dapat linawin natin yan sa
Okay. Anyway.
Kus ang nag-confirm po sa atin, baka nandyan sa linya, si Dr. Loradel at saka si Dr. Rufino.
Dr. Rufino, Dr. Laura Del Carlo, and Dr.
Sa kanila,
Francisco.
Sila ay galing po sa Public Health ng Department of Health.
I think Dr. Rufino, good morning po. Naka-unmute na po kayo if ever you want to give your comment, Doc. Alright. Perhaps siguro sa ibang forum na lang po natin yung ma-address if ever po
sige, okay lang.
Opo. Yes, Secretary. So at this point po, balikan po natin si Ma'am Maria Hernandez for her question. Ma'am Maria, good morning po. You may state po or indicate po kung saan po kayo affiliated, ma'am. I'm sorry, ma'am, we cannot hear you. All right. Ma'am, I think pwede nyo na lang po sigurong i-type yung inyong question dito sa ating chat box. So moving on po, may we call Miss from representative from DWAD. Good morning po.
Happy morning po.
Happy morning
Secretary.
Po.
Yes, Secretary Boy.
Kanina pa nakataas ang kamay niya. Kanina pa.
Thank you. Napansin. Thank you po, Sec Boy, and sa lahat po ng DOST official at congratulations po sa FNRI. Question ko lang po kasi kanina panawagan, na, tama po ba ako, na panawagan ninyo na makipagtulungan ang media para po doon sa etong VCO na makilala ng ating mga kababayan kung gaano ito kaganda at makakatulong sa ating kalusugan. Yung pwede po bang mailabas din yung mga etong na-study ng Valenzuela and Santa Rosa po na may positibo na po sa COVID. Ito kasi sila ang mas magandang magpatunay talaga kung sila ang ma-interview muna ng mga media. Kung pwede lang na makilala sila at mailabas namin. And then, kung meron po tayong mga balita na gumagamit po ng VCO, na mai-update po ang mga media. Kasi yun po, malaking tulong din po yun. Na sila mismo, yung mga naka-intake na nun, at magpatunay na po na totoo itong VCO na makatulong sa ating kalusugan at mga nag-positive po sa COVID-19. Yun lang po. Thank you.
Parang meron yatang privacy commitment doon sa aming trials eh. Hindi ko alam. Dr. Jim?
Yes.
Sige, Dr. Siva.
Yes, Doc Mel.
Please.
Okay. Actually, ma'am, we have a signed agreement ng confidentiality ng aming mga pasyente. However, allow us to take time to ask permission sa ating mga authorities sa Valenzuela and connect us with these patients kung magbibigay po sila ng ating permission na sila po ay ma-interview po ninyo tungkol po doon sa kalagayan nila noong sila ay nasa hospital at sila ay nagtitake po ng VCO.
Okay, thank you so much po.
Yes, we'll get back to you.
At saka kung pwede kong dagdagan yung sinabi ni Director Agdepa, isa po sa ating plano ay ito ay ma-publish din sa tinatawag natin mga peer-reviewed journals. Ano ba itong mga peer-reviewed journals na to? Ito po ibig sabihin, ito po ay pinag-aralan at review ng ating mga peers, mga iba pang scientists sa iba-ibang bansa para makita kung ito ba talaga ay kapanipaniwala. At ginawa na po yan doon sa Santa Rosa study, di ba Dr. Agdepa, na-publish na yan sa isang peer-reviewed journal. At balak din natin gawin yan dito sa Valenzuela. Pero po, ang isang requirement ay hindi ka pwede maglabas ng detalye until ma-peer-review siya at ma-publish. Pag na-publish na po yan sa mga peer-reviewed journal, pwede na po yan i-disseminate. Ang mga detalyeng nandyan is already in the public domain. Thank you po.
Salamat, Doc.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. Montoya and Doc Mel. Also, we are being joined by Ma'am Agnes Cristobal of VCO Philippines. Ma'am Agnes, good morning po. May we ask the technical team to unmute Ma'am Agnes. Good morning, Ma'am.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, everyone. First, I would like to thank the team of DOST, Secretary De La Peña. Thank you very much. Undersecretary Guevara, Dr. Agdepa, Dr. Montoya, and everybody involved in this project. Administrator Madrigal and Dr. Dairit. Maraming salamat kasi hinintay po namin itong result of the Valenzuela study as well as when the result of the Santa Rosa study came out. So this is a boost for our industry. Maraming salamat. But I just wanted to clarify. I would like to just inform Undersecretary Guevara that our members who provided the VCO for the Santa Rosa study are preparing for the application for VCO as functional food with the Food and Drug Administration. We just got the certificate from PCA yesterday, and maraming salamat sa PCA Laboratory Service because they provided us with a certificate addressed to FDA. So we look forward to more studies like this, and yung peer review that Dr. Montoya mentioned, we support that completely. Again, yung coconut industry will definitely get a boost with this. And if there are other studies to be conducted, please just let us know, and we will support you 100%. Maraming salamat, Dr. Ubi. Ngayon yung sa kits, no? We observed that last year that even in the kits provided by LGUs, yes, kasama po ang Lagundi, ang VCO, hindi ho namin alam sino ang kailangan namin kausapin para ma-address yun, ano? Kasi tayo may studies na pero hindi pa rin nila sinasali. So kung sino man ang kailangan nating kausapin, masabihan lang po kami, and we will help PCA and DOST talk to them. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Salamat.
Maraming salamat po, Ma'am Agnes. Siguro i-segue ko na lang din po yung coming from the perspective of the industry. This question is for Administrator Madrigal, and this is from Ma'am Ruby Cristobal. Sabi po ni Ma'am Ruby, if there will be a surge in demand for VCO production, do we have enough sources of raw materials from our coconut farms? Administrator? Sir, naka-mute po kayo. Pa-unmute na lang natin.
Magandang umaga po. Una po sa lahat, let me point out that base po sa mga datos natin ngayon, compared with the volume, ito po yung sa export natin ng VCO, ng virgin coconut oil, na tumaas po talaga yung demand na yung export natin ng virgin coconut oil for the past 4 years. In fact, from 2019, ang volume ng nai-export lang natin ay nasa mga 1,500 metric tons. Ngayon po nasa yung 2021 nasa 2,671 metric tons. So about 21% ang itinaas in terms of volume ng export. At ito rin kung sa value, tumaas din po actually mas po ngayon na umabot ng 29% in terms of value. Now so tumataas po ang demand ito sa world market, but of course dito sa atin sa domestic siguro po ang isa pang magandang matanong natin ito in coordination with our VCO producers, maliban po sa patuloy na ginagawa po ng DOST at ng PCA, we are we are coming up with manuals, kasama po ang isinama po kami ng DOST rito para ma-standardize yung paggawa ng virgin coconut oil, manuals and conducting trainings sa gusto pong mag-produce. And kami naman po, ang isa pang ginagawa pa rin natin, talking to VCOP, ito pong organisasyon na kasama po si Ma'am Agnes at saka si Marco Reyes, na bantayan yung hanay na para lalo pang mapalakas ang produkto para maiwasan po natin ang adulteration. As to the po ngayon, yung kung may meron ba tayong sapat, sa ngayon po may sapat, pero sabi ko siguro we can ask our VCOP members kung tungkol po sa kung nadadagdagan pa ang mga gusto pang maging miyembro ng VCOP. Pero kami po, sabi nga, we continuously undertake training naman po ito, lalong-lalo na sa mga cooperatives who wanted to engage in VCO production. But sabi nga, napaka-importante po na maging maayos yung pagpaprepare nito at maprotektahan natin yung ating produkto. So siguro po, ipasa ko sa ating VCOP producers.
Right. Maraming salamat po, Administrator Madrigal. Perhaps since naipasa niyo po yung bola sa ating VCOP, perhaps pakinggan po natin kahit quick lang po na perspective from the VCO Philippines. Ma'am Agnes. Maybe as a technical.
Yes.
Ayan, ma'am, na-unmute na po kayo.
Yes. Opo, again, thank you very much, Administrator Madrigal. We continuously reach out to other VCO producers to join our ranks to be able to unify and really monitor the producers to comply with the national standards. And just for the information of everyone in the room, together with PCA and Dr. Dairit, we are updating and amending the Philippine National Standard to add some more safeguards precisely because of yung sa adulteration as mentioned, and ang standard operating procedures, yan may manual na po na pinublish ang DOST together with PCA and VCOP. So we continuously strive to have the VCO in the market comply with all um, all the requirements ready for the market. Ang pinakaayaw natin ay kung kailan may studies na may resulta na ay masira naman tayo sa merkado because of quality issues. So maraming salamat Administrator Madrigal. Secretary De La Peña, you continuously support us. Thank you. And our group, our organization, together with our president and chairman, si Mr. Santos and Mr. Reyes, maraming salamat. We will work with you continuously. Thank you, sir.
Maraming salamat po, ma'am. So at this point, so nakikita po natin yung system no na boost din po yung ating industry sa mga resulta po ng mga studies na ginagawa po natin. So allow me also to share yung paglawak po ng studies natin. Actually po, the study team of the VCO has shared the protocol of the trials that we have conducted with a group of researchers in Sri Lanka. So lumalawak na po yung ginagawa po nating mga pag-aaral for the virgin coconut oil. Kanina po nakataas yung kamay ni Sir Dexter Mahilom. So sir, bibigay ko na po sa inyo ang floor for your question. Over to you, Sir Dexter. Sir Dexter, maybe ask the technical po na paki. Ayan, sir. You can speak na, Sir Dexter.
Hello, sir. Naririnig po?
Naririnig po kayo, sir. Opo. Loud and clear po, sir.
Simple lang naman po yung tanong ko. Ako po si Dexter Mahilom from Radyo Aguila, Pinoy Scientist. Kasi may shop po ako, tapos katapat ko lang po Mercury Drugstore. Pag pumasok po ako ng Mercury Drugstore, marami po akong nakikitang brand ng VCO. May specific brand po ba na pumasa sa pag-asa DOST, FNRI, or kahit anong brand lang po? Lahat po ba ng naka-display sa, kasi hindi naman siya nabibili na pupunta ka sa, parang sa, di ba po yung Mercury, parang may supermarket sila, tapos nabibili lang siya sa stand, kukunin nyo lang siya. Tapos yung brand na yon, okay na po ba yun?
Baka nandiyan pa si Dr. Gutierrez ng FDA, pwede kaya siyang sumagot?
Actually po, Sec, wala po siya sa ating Zoom ngayong umaga, si Dr.
Wala siya. Alam ko nandiyan siya kanina eh. Okay, anyway, siguro si Director Madrigal na pwedeng sumagot.
Thank you po, Secretary De La Peña. Yun po, isang, kaya po ang binabanggit kanina ng ating Secretary sa FDA, kasi importante po yung makita natin yung seal of, yung seal of approval ng Food and Drug Administration. Ngayon, katulad, babalikan ko po yung binabanggit ko kanina. Sabi nga po ni Dr. Dairit na tinatanong, ano ba baka meron bang may brand na mas maganda kaysa sa ibang brand? Baka yun po ang itatanong sa mga bibili. Yung pag tinanong, yung value for money natin. Ang sabi nga po ni Dr. Dairit, minsan yung importante yung kung anong variety ba yung pinagkunan. Kasi yung pong ating Philippine National Standard range po yung range ng percentage ng content, like for example yung pong lauric content niya ay dapat pumapasok sa between 45 to 56% if I'm not mistaken, so mas mataas po yung percentage kung yung po yung nakakataas ng ating sabi nga nag-boost ng immune system. Pwede po natin tingnan maigi, yung mga brand natin itingnan. Pwede nyo i-compare ano yung mas mataas ang level, for example, ng lauric content, baka yun na mas maganda. Siguro ikaw, maano po ni Dr. Dairit, pero yun po, sabi nga, kung value for money, ang tatanungin, tingnan po natin, basahin natin din yung mga content para mas nakukuha tayo ng mas magaganda. Kung sabi nga, kung titingnan yung alin ang mas maganda, yung mas mataas siguro based doon sa analysis ng Food and Drug Administration. Kay Dr. Dairit po siguro.
Yeah, sige. Salamat Admin Madrigal. Talagang range yan kasi it's a natural compound, natural coconut. So this will vary with season, with variety. So what you have is really a range. So hindi natin masasabi kung itong boteng hawak mo ay ito yung pinakamataas unless you do a specific analysis for that. So what you have is a general approval, and the approval would come both from PCA, nasa CBN, it complies with PNS, and kailangan may LTO. So kailangan ng FDA LTO kasi it's a food. So siguro wag nang anuhin kung ano yung brand na pinakamaganda. I think it's more of alin yung brand ang gusto mo. Kasi yung iba nasa lasa rin yan May lasa na gusto mo, may lasa na hindi gusto. Parang pagkain. Pwede mo sabihin gusto mo ng chicken, pero baka mas gusto mo yung fried chicken ng Jollibee, o mas gusto yung fried chicken ng fried chicken lahat yan. So pero yung kanyang benefit ay just assume that it will be the same.
Ngayon yan.
Dr. B and Administrator Madrigal, na pag-uusapan din po natin yung quality ng virgin coconut oil. May tanong po tayo kanina coming from, perhaps galing po ito sa mga kasama natin sa YouTube. How can we identify if VCO product is good, pure, and perhaps not synthetic? At ano po ba ito? I think ito yung importante po. Ano yung physical or visual indications ng isang pure or authentic po na virgin coconut oil?
Ito siguro po si Dr. Dairit ang makaano po natin dito tungkol sa
actually kung produkto siya, the most important indicator hanapin yung yung LTO na it is licensed by FDA. Kasi yun naman ang pinaka permission na maganda yung legit yung produkto, that it passes the standard. So yun ang titingnan.
Right po. So yun naman po ay naka-indicate yung available po na VCO sa market?
Yes.
Alright. Maraming salamat po, Dr. At this time, tawagin din po natin yung ibang mga kasama pa natin na nakataas ang kamay sa Zoom. Ma'am Maria, I guess, try po natin ulit na i-go over yung tanong sa amin. Paki-unmute po si Ma'am Maria. Good morning, ma'am.
Janice, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Loud and clear. Good morning po.
Good. This is a question to all the panelists. Okay. I have been with Tess Santos since 2006, promoting VCO, and I called Dr. Toby 2 weeks ago to ask what's happening to the study. That's why I'm glad we're having this forum today. I've worked with June Lau of the United Coconut Association of the Philippines, with Dr. Dairit when the US cartel was bad-mouthing VCO. They said it freezes in your veins, and just because they don't have coconut in the States, okay? So June Lau and company have been fighting that. Secretary de la Peña, I've interviewed you in my show. When I talked to she told me maybe the PCA administrator can help us. The one that's delaying the application to the FDA is the certificate coming from the Philippine Coconut Administration. And the reason given was that nagkasakit ng COVID, so walang mag-i-issue ng certification. So, sir of PCA, can you be the one to sign the certification and give it to FDA, who is also here? Dr. De La Peña, can you facilitate that? Because that's one of the things that is pending and delaying are being able to advertise or promote VCO as a COVID immune booster. That's one. The other one, since I am a banker of 26 years and I am a consultant for ASEAN and the BPO banking industry, why can we not promote Sir Boy and all the other officers in the panel? I have been with the US, okay? And the Filipino groceries there, seafood market and all, they all promote Thailand coconut products. Can we not give more support to all our virgin or coconut products the way Thailand promotes theirs. Okay. And then I'm with the MAP Agri Business Countryside Development Foundation. Ernie Ordonez is our president. Our chair, he's a very young man. He's busy right now trying to formulate ready-to-eat food because he's been supplying DSWD with disaster packages. But like what happened in Odette, people don't have utensils to boil or clean water to boil rice with. So maybe with FNRI, Secretary Boy, we can work on the ready-to-eat with VCO in it. Okay, Dr. Toby, thank you for being here and for inviting me. Thank you.
Salamat din po. At mauna na ako sumagot at ako'y meron po 12 o'clock meeting. Unang-una, napakaganda ng suggestion nyo about more R&D for ready-to-eat food. We will really put more attention to that. We have our DOST-FNRI. We have DOST-ITDI and our partner universities na pwede nating pwedeng makatulong diyan sa aspeto na yan. Pangalawa, pangalawa kong masasabi, siguro talagang ang Philippine Coconut Authority po ang ating ang ating conductor diyan sa aspeto ng mga sinabi niyo at kami naman ay bahagi lang ng kanilang orkestra. Ngayon po ako ay kabilang na bilang ex officio sa Philippine Coconut Authority Board. Ito pong bagong board at kami po naman ay talaga pong ina-address namin yan. In fact, Director Madrigal can explain that we have now an industry development plan. Kasama po yung mga binanggit ninyo tungkol sa pagpo-promote, tungkol sa R&D. At sa totoo lang pong napakaraming taong sabihin na nating napabayaan. Kaya hindi naman po natin mamamagic sa loob ng isang taon lahat ng problema na yan. Ako po may natitira pang 5 buwan, siguro po may magagawa pa ako. Salamat po.
Sec Boy, 30 minutes ago while I was waiting, Indonesia has 7 billion metric tons. We're number 2 in the world when it comes to producing coconut nuts. India is close to us. So as number 2, we should be lording it over and providing coconut products all over the world. Di ba, Dr. Toby? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Maraming po salamat, Secretary de la Peña, sir. Ito po, tama po yung binanggit ni Secretary de la Peña. Una po, sagutin ko lang po yung tungkol sa certification. Na-issue na po yun. Pagpasensyahan nyo na po dahil ang pag-issue po ng certification ay sa ating chemist doon po sa laboratory. Ako po ay hindi chemist kaya ang pwede pong mag-certify po noon ay yung head ng ating laboratory. Pero na-issue na po yun. Na-issue na po. Pangalawa po, yung tungkol po sa promotion and other research and development. Tama po yung binanggit ni Secretary de la Peña. All over the past years kasi po talagang medyo maliit ang ating ginagalaw yung ating pondo na nagagamit sa Philippine Coconut Authority pati yung organisasyon ay medyo rin po over the past years yung sabi nga siguro haunted by the issues in the past. But ngayon po with the approval ng ating mahal na Pangulo ng Coconut Farmers and Industry Trust Fund Act, meron na po tayong assured annual budget na magtitingin sa promotion that will be handled by the Department of Trade and Industry. At katulong na po natin sila doon. Sila na po ang mag-lead dito. At of course, kasama din po dito ang ating research for development. At sabi nga, miyembro na po ng aming PCA board, si Secretary de la Peña. At ito po, binibigyang diin ng ating mahal na kalihim sa DOST yung pong pagpapataas pa ng ating researches. Kasi sa ngayon po, we have 42 products, coconut based products na ine-export. No, ngayon ang tinitingnan po natin maliban doon sa ano pa ang ibang produkto na pwedeng gawin, ano ba kasama po ang DTI yung demand side naman po. No, at tama po yung binabanggit nyo na second largest producer. At ngayon po just to give our viewers an idea, sabi nga po sa report ng Philippine Statistics Authority, ang coconut po ngayon ang highest jumper no sa ating export. For the year, no, mabilis po naka-recover ng although may tinamaan tayo nitong Disyembre ng bagyo. Ng bagyo, but yung sa report po ng January to November ay umabot po ng mahigit 76% yung increase in terms of yung
revenue
export no compared with the previous year no. So ito naman po ay napaka-importante makita natin ano-ano yung mga produkto na in demand at maiayos din natin yung standard ng ating mga ginagawang produkto. So napaka-laking tulong po itong pagka mai-roll out na natin itong Coconut Farmers and Industry Trust Fund Act. We have an assured minimum budget of about 5 billion a year. Sa ngayon po ay may kulang na lang po ng vetting ng apat na ahensya po kasi hindi dinaanan ng ating development plan. Na-approve na po ng NEDA, ng DTI, no, ang DOF nagbigay na ng kanyang komento, DBM, inaantay na lang po namin. Hopefully, may approve na po ito ng ating mahal na Pangulo at ma-release na rin itong pondo para lalo pa natin mapaigting ng ating industriya at lalo natin matulungan ang ating magsasaka. Dahil sabi nga, yung pondo po ay focused sa pagpapalakas at pagiging competitive ng ating
Administrator Madrigal and Secboy, I am volunteering to represent the agricultural private foundations, the banks, the business processing, and the academe to help you in your thrust and your priorities. I will meet with whoever you so nominate so that we can work together as one nation. Thank you.
Thank you po. Salamat po. Tandaan po namin.
Thank you po. Thank you, Ma'am Maria and Administrator Madrigal and Secboy for
permission to leave. I have already another meeting.
Maraming salamat po, Secboy. So, having said that, alam ko po marami pa tayong mga tanong sa chat box and there are still burning questions na gusto niyo pong itanong. But I guess yung ating po technical team has already documented all those unanswered questions this morning and isasama po yan sa nasasagutin as we bring also the presentations na isisend po namin sa inyo after this virtual presser. So maraming salamat po sa isang interactive at very insightful na question and answer dito sa ating presser this morning. Maraming salamat Dr. Montoya, Dr. Toby, Administrator Madrigal, and Director Jojo for joining us in our virtual presser this morning. So we do hope that through this presser, we can all work together in propagating the results and making it known sa ating mga kababayan, sa ating mga kaibigan po sa media. Maraming salamat for joining us. Now, to clear the path on where this series of studies conducted by DOST, FNRI, and all our partners are leading to, please join me in welcoming the DOST Undersecretary for Research and Development, Dr. Rowena Cristina L. Guevara, for Ways Forward. Good morning. Good afternoon na po, Yusek.
Thank you very much, Picos. Sa mga kaibigan natin sa media, Secretary Fortunato de la Peña, PCA Administrator Benjamin Madrigal, our collaborators from Valenzuela City, headed by Mayor Rex Gatchalian, our friends from VCOP, Ms. Agnes Cristobal and Mr. Marco Reyes, Dr. Toby Dairit, DOST NCR Regional Director Joe Patalinhug, Dr. Mel Agdepa, Dr. Jimmy Montoya, colleagues from DOST, ladies and gentlemen, magandang agham po sa ating lahat. On behalf of the whole DOST family, I would like to extend our gratitude to all our distinguished guests this morning. We are grateful for the presence of our partners and friends from the media who took the time from their busy schedules to be with us today. Your tremendous support for DOST in disseminating our science-based solutions and innovations, particularly in our continuous fight against COVID-19 truly matters. This morning, the results of the DOST study on the effects of VCO among mild and moderate COVID-19 cases in selected Metro Manila areas are indeed very inspiring and motivating. We are confident that this study confirms our previous findings that VCO is effective as an adjunct therapy against mild and moderate case of COVID-19. The diminishing signs and symptoms experienced in a shorter period by the mild and moderate cases of those who took VCO compared to those who did not is already a significant breakthrough in the management of COVID-19 cases. This observable indicator or metric is supported by a biomarker, which is the normalization of C-reactive protein or CRP level as early as day 14 in the VCO group. With these promising results in both studies conducted, the 2020 VCO study in Santa Rosa, Laguna, and now in the city of Valenzuela, we are sure that we have the evidences that VCO is an effective adjunct therapy to COVID-19 mild and moderate cases. The DOST will proceed with an in-depth study related to the mechanism action of VCO specific to the SARS-CoV-2 virus in collaboration with the research team of Dr. Fabian Dairit of the Ateneo de Manila University. These two VCO studies could facilitate the Food and Drug Administration or FDA approval for the disease risk reduction claim for VCO, which is currently ongoing. Inaasahan po natin ang VCO Philippines na mga kaibigan natin ay itutuloy po nila ang pag-a-apply niyan sa FDA. At pinapangako naman po ng DOST na bibigyan po namin kayo nitong resulta ng FNRI para po mapalakas ang inyong claim. Moreover, the research team of VCO is now drafting the technical manuscript to publish the results of the Valenzuela study to inform, again, the global scientific community of our recent findings. Studies on bioavailability and bioequivalence of VCO are also one of the paths that DOST is planning. This development can also help boost the VCO industry and provide other livelihood options for our coconut farmers. With these studies, the DOST system will continue its scientific initiatives and plans to further mitigate and manage the impacts of COVID-19, especially with our partner in the Philippine Coconut Authority. Indeed, R&D makes positive change happen in science for the people. We hope that you will continue to support us in all these endeavors against our common enemy, COVID-19. Muli, isang magandang agham po sa ating lahat.
Indeed, science for the people. Maraming salamat po sa boost, Yusek Guevara. And truly, endeavors such as this assure us that we can heal as one. So that wraps up our virtual presser this morning. Please do not forget to accomplish the attendance sheet na kanina lamang po ay nasa ating chat box. That way we can send to you the slide deck that were presented this morning, immediately after this presser po. So from everyone here at the DOST FNRI, we thank you for joining us today. Once again, ako po si Jay Cosnasis and it is a pleasure to be your moderator this morning. Ingat po tayong lahat at maraming salamat po.
Salamat po sa ating lahat. Thank you po sa inyo. Thank you, Yusek.
Sige, maraming salamat.
Thank you, Dr. Montoya,
Congratulations
Dr.
and
Jojo, Dr. Tubi.
papatuloy natin yung pag-aaral.
Dr.
Maraming
Jo,
salamat po.
salamat.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacuz.
Salamat,
Yeah, salamat, Jacuz.
My pleasure po. Salamat din po.
Bye-bye.
Sige, salamat.
Science and Technology Food and Nutrition Research Institute proudly presents our story of innovation. As FNRI turns another page of 70 years of service to Juan and Juana, innovation is our continuing journey. As we traverse the road of scientific and technological pursuits, our mentors guided us with their innovations for Philippine food and nutrition endeavors. Let our mentors' voices resound as we unfold FNRI's story. The very first director of FNRI, 1948 to 1956, Dr. Juan Salcedo Jr. Dr. Salcedo aimed for better nutrition for a greater Philippines. Dr. Salcedo led pioneering extensive research, such as the rat and biochemistry laboratories. His other achievements included the publication of the first handbook on food composition tables, or the FCT, the Bataan Rice Enrichment Experiment, launching of a systematic program of nutrition, education, and information.